Hey friends, welcome to Think Out Loud with me, a chatcast produced, hosted, and humbly offered by yours truly, Natalie Peterson, from my little neck of the woods in northern Colorado to you, in yours, wherever and whenever that might be. This digital adventure is an effort to turn years of internal chatter, wondering, silent suffering, and physical and mental close calls into enlightening and empowering conversations with others. This chatcast is my medicine. Given how many choices you have on how to spend your time, I consider it an honor that you're listening in. I have a return guest today with whom I am really excited to think out loud. She's an actor, producer, model, performer, muse, and though she doesn't list this in her bio, she's an incredible influence as a woman, stepping into her voice, her body, and her power. She trained at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, and her remarkable talents can be seen in Tina Bobina, Small Town Remedies, Reed Gig, Womanhood the Series, Saturn Rising, and Crash and Burn Stories. Here in Colorado, we see her gorgeous face as the spokeswoman for Woodley's Fine Furniture, her family's business since 1979. She's raw, she's authentic, she's a serious badass. Andrea Dratch, welcome back to Think Out Loud with me.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie. When you reached out, I was very quick to say yes, because I love getting on here and chatting with you.
That's cool to hear. It's crazy that we've not met I've stalked you in person, but we still haven't actually been in the same, hey, let's change that. Let's change
I know.
that.
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, wait, how have we not actually gotten together? Because we were like, let's get together, and everything happens, but here we are. This is good.
Yeah.
So our get together, everybody gets to hear. So that's good.
Right.
It's going to be exciting.
Let's do the next one, part 3 in person. Let's do that.
Yes.
Make it.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good.
So I have drinking on my mind, not in the I need a drink kind of way, but in the wow, who was I when I drank? What was I hiding from? How did I survive myself? Where did alcoholism start in my family? The thoughts a lot of sober people have who are still shaking their heads even after years of sobriety. When I talk about drinking, I talk about my own experience, and I talk about my parents and their parents and how alcoholism ran in both sides of my family. I talk about how drinking was a severe problem for me, how I used it to deal with anxiety, how it fueled my anxiety, how it created anxiety in everybody around me. Though I spent the first year or so of sobriety wondering how anybody in their right minds would ever drink, I've since concerned myself less with other people's use of alcohol and concentrated on my own. And very clearly, I don't stand in judgment of people who drink. Have I wondered if people have a problem with drinking? Sure. Do I continue to process my parents' relationship with alcohol and how it affected me and my family? Yes. Does society's obsession with alcohol concern me? Absolutely. But I choose to share my story and think out loud and have thoughts about drinking and addiction and related topics with mental health as a method of connection, not condemnation. I speak up for myself, and with the hope that if just one person will hear that they're worth it, and that they're worth every bit of strength they have to muster to not pick up, a drink. That's why I do it. That's what's driving me. So I woke up thinking about this, and I thought, we had such a connection the first conversation about, coming into power and coming into sobriety, that I wanted to think out loud with you about, being sober, what it means to you. Is it hard?
So I'm like, I have so many different things on this. It is not hard. I can honestly say at this point in my life that being sober is very easy for me, because I have found closure on a lot of different in a lot of different areas. So, I in April, I will have been sober for 9 years. And
Woo!
when I was 8 years sober last year, I realized that my struggle, my for real, if I'm honest with myself, struggle lasted about 8 years. So being sober 8 years, I was like, all right, I am now sober the same amount of time that I struggled. And it made me feel so empowered and realizing that I was like, I feel like I can finally say now that I have, full control and I can step forward into this new way of just accepting all of the good things that are coming into my life because of what I went through. It is funny to this day, I still, some people like, they don't believe that it was so bad for myself. And I don't feel a need to prove it to anyone. I just do when I'm helping people, when I'm talking about it. I want people to hear my honest story so that they themselves maybe will see themselves in me, in that story, to know that they also can, achieve this new way of living. Um, my sister and I were just recently talking about how we are, it's kind of bizarre, but we are very grateful for what we went through with our alcohol addiction because it has shaped us, me in so many different ways in my life. It truly, I had to go through that. I had to survive that. There's there is more stuff in my life that I need to achieve. And without knowing how dark and deep of a place I could fall to, without knowing that place, I don't think that I would be who I am today. And I wouldn't be able to express myself in ways that I am. Just before I got on here today, I actually, a friend of mine was talking to me about she's dealing with a family member that's going through addiction, not alcohol, but other substances. And just in that moment, I just feel I can lend a hand, I can lend a voice to help people. Um, to I think my most important thing I want to get across people is the shame of it that people feel when they're going through addiction is they know it's there. They feel bad. They know they don't want to be doing this. They want to change. And our society shames people so much for being addicted that it's almost one of the reasons why people don't ever get help or come out of it because it's such a shameful thing, especially in a world where for alcohol is it's shameful if you have a problem. It's shameful and embarrassing if you quit. Everyone wants to know why you quit, but it's glorified if you're drinking. I mean, we just saw this in the Kansas City Chiefs parade, their Super Bowl parade. And it's something that comes up in my mind because I think about this stuff more when you are a sober person. It stands out when you see behaviors going on, but I mean, these guys are out there and sure they're celebrating, they're having fun and maybe not all of them have an issue, but in my mind, if you're willing to go out in the public eye and get that hammered to where you're not even, you don't even really know what you're talking about, it's amazing to me that this is who we are all glorifying. I mean, millions and millions of dollars go into this and you're just kind of like, wow, this person that, everyone's looking up to is just completely hammered on the street. And it's a bizarre world we live in. And
Mhm.
I don't, that's why I'm not using any names, but it's just, you think about these things because then the minute you have a problem with it,
Right.
the minute that you have children and you drink and you have a problem and you're doing this and you are such a bad person. And how could you be doing this to your family? How are you doing this to yourself? Like, but yet it's just such a two-faced, situation. So I think just having the knowledge I have, surrounding alcohol use has been such a blessing to me. My one of my twins, he the other around Thanksgiving, he had to write out what he was thankful for, and it was the cutest freaking thing and the proudest moment for me. And I mean, I'm telling you, just like 5 years ago I might have been like, oh my gosh, who saw this, what are they thinking? He came home and he had written out that he was thankful for Captain Underpants the movie because he thinks it's hilarious, and sober. he is thankful for people that are sober. And, I talk honestly with my children because I want to give them a chance in life. I know that this is a generational thing that will go down through my family. Hopefully they will have the knowledge. So if they do have a problem or realize I have an issue with it, I'm giving them the tools they need to understand it and already not feel shame and not feel pressure and just be aware of it. Cause I never felt like I didn't know this could happen to me. I think I told you that on the our first time getting together. But when he wrote sober, I mean, like I said, I would have used to been like, who at the school saw this? Like,
Right.
oh my gosh, this is just terrifying. They know there's a problem. They know someone has a problem. But no, and I asked him, I said, so what are the things you wrote down here that you're thankful for? And he's like, well, SpongeBob. And then he's like, I'm just thankful for people that are sober. And he's 7. And he said, I just am thankful for people that that know that they have a problem and that they can be sober, because then they can make themselves a better person. And the way I love that he already is thinking about this, and that was something he's thankful for. I mean, aren't we all thankful for people that in our lifetimes have had a major problem with anything, and that they can find that sober moment, or maybe it's not called being sober, but they can find the other side of that and get themselves through it, and then go on to help other people. So
Yeah.
that was just it was seriously such a proud moment. I was I was really happy to see that written out. And I've kept
Absolutely.
that one for sure.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I was just reading this morning, that touches my heart because I was just reading this morning about, if I think about our own upbringing and having, modeling behavior and seeing as young people not given any kind of direction around alcohol, except for in my upbringing, it was around the beginning of it, because I had, what I know now is that my parents had been drinking prior to my being born and got sober and found a church that they belonged to. And they were sober for a number of years before falling back into addiction. And as they say, in addiction, in rooms, that, it was a tiger lying in wait, and the pedal to the metal in terms of how fast their addiction came back. Right. And it was just a matter of a few years where the train had left the tracks and was cruising through, tearing shit up. I didn't have, and I think, you talk about glorifying and how much money we put into glorifying alcohol, and without giving a lot of information on the damaging effects of it, not only physically, but emotionally and socially and all of that. And we wonder why we've got kids, that head into college, or they leave home and they end up binge drinking and alcohol poisoning. And there's nothing that they've learned, right? They've seen it glorified. It's every commercial. It's, every sporting event. It's cool to drink and celebrate. It's also used on the other side to cope. And I've had a shitty day, and so I'm going to get hammered. Like, there's no in between of just really like responsibility around alcohol. I'm talking in very big black and white just to make my point. What we're trying to do, I think, where I'm meeting more and more is to have conversations like you're having with your kiddos, I'm having with mine. You talk about even, closure and processing things with my kiddo around what my relationship with alcohol was. Being very honest with him about that. And in so doing, because he has memories of my drinking, is to actually ask for forgiveness and let him know that he didn't deserve that. The way that he was treated, that he is worth it to me, and I'm worth it to me to never do that to loved ones again. So that was all just a roundabout way to, high five you as a parent myself, and just, breaking cycles and having conversations and being proud of our kiddos for saying, I'm grateful for sober. Like
Yeah.
having, what does that mean? It could be from anything. It is the other side of something enormous that was altering life in a not so positive way, right?
hmm
So yeah, thank you for sharing that sweet story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, because if, there's people listening that are a parent and they're struggling. I know that, some of the people I've talked to, one of my friends, she's been sober now over a year, but a big thing in the beginning was just like, I've already done the damage, my children, and they've seen this and they've seen that. And just that shame that comes when you just cannot believe that, how are you still acting this way when you have a child? But that is freaking addiction. That is alcohol. I mean, you look back when you're sober and go, oh my gosh. And that is hard. It is hard to look back at different things and deal with it. But no matter how long it was, their life, the child's life having you as a sober parent will outweigh anything that you have done, because it gives them the chance to see you thrive, and it gives them the chance to have a parent and to watch them totally conquer something that is almost seems to a lot of people just like an impossible thing to ever get over. So
Mhm.
I think giving them that tool, really, you might think that it's just like you can't deal with it. And that is one of those things that then you drink more because you don't want to deal with it. And then you're
Yep.
like, but I think that children who have parents that just continue to drink and have a problem, and I would say, I was lucky. I got sick. I, it was life or death. I know a lot of people can just drink and drink and drink and just keep on going. I would go through very, very terrible withdrawals, and I'm very happy for that now because I had to quit. It was I die or I live.
Mhm.
And people still ask me, so you're never going to drink again? And I'm like, no, I will die. If I drink and if I order like a mocktail, or I get something I'm like, they're like, so no alcohol. I'm like, no alcohol. I do not even want to have a taste of it. Um, I understand how scary it is, how fast I could be thrown into this world of addiction. And so I think that this is when I start going off, but it's like that is just you have to make that decision eventually, and then everything comes into to play. So once you make that decision for your children, and now it's amazing hearing kids that as they get older talking about their parents if they lived under a roof of someone, and they say 3 and 4 children live with a parent who is addicted to alcohol. And a lot of people don't, they think the addiction looks like, the extreme, but it really doesn't. It can be a parent that just every night they have to have their 3 glasses of wine, one when they're cooking and one with dinner and one to, come down.
Mhm.
And think of, you live in that and you see that's the normal lifestyle. That's what your parent is
Yep.
doing. Um, and so it's better to be that person who is there and with your children present and every day than a parent that's waking up every morning and not really even knowing what you've said to your kids and there's no judgment here. I'm not saying this out
No.
of judgment. I'm just saying the shame that comes with that vicious cycle of drinking, the shame of thinking about like, what did I say to my kids? What do they see me do? It's just too late. I can't, like, now my kids are 20. They don't even live with me anymore. And I wasted their whole childhood. No, you still at this moment. I don't care if your kids are in their 20s, 30s, 40s. If you're still here on this planet, and you're still drinking and you're still feeling shame and guilt about it, it's a great chance for you right now to just face that and get sober for your family and your loved ones, because man, that'll be the best story ever. And
Yeah.
then it's just amazing what that story can take with you, what you can take with that, and what your kids then think of things that they can end up telling their children or
Yep.
great grandchildren someday about this. Someone has to end the cycle. So I don't know. It is when, I know that that shame. And I didn't, like you said, I pretty much did what your parents did. I had a problem. I quit drinking during pregnancy. I quit drinking during nursing. All the other parents, I'd see the moms with their babies going out to the brewery and having a drink. And I was like, I can do it. I was sober for this whole time. I'm fine. Like, I'm fine now. And, just one night out threw me into a complete, mess. I would really control myself. I'll have one beer. I can do it.
Mhm.
See, I'll have two beers. I can do it. See, I'm fine. And then, yeah, one night threw me into a mess of, where I was so embarrassed and so shameful and just was like, there's, I'm a mom. No one can know this is happening. I have to come down from this myself. And I couldn't. So I finally had to reach out and get help from everyone. And I think I talked about this last time too, but the shame, I think, is being lifted as well. We see alcohol everywhere, but I think especially the more people come out and talk about it,
Yep.
is so helpful for people. Um, I have helped loved ones recently go through getting sober, and I loved that I could be there and say, look, I'm not judging you. I just want you to know that you don't have to live this way anymore. So let's figure that out,
Mhm.
because I know how you're feeling and
Mhm.
I'm not judging you. And even if you jump back into it again, I'm still going to be here for you,
Yep.
because it just doesn't matter. That's how fucked up alcohol can be for some people.
Yep.
And just being able to have my own experience really helped me go through a new experience. But it was bizarre. In the middle of it, a lot of things, seeing someone going through withdrawal and stuff was pretty emotional. And I had to keep my head on.
Mhm.
And not that I was like, oh God, I'm so glad I don't drink. But just realizing, and it was bringing back memories of things
Yep.
I had done that
Yep.
I honestly had forgotten about in my own recovery. But yeah, so being a parent then, and getting sober. And I said that the first time too. I remember when my dad said, how do I know you're not going to go buy a bottle of alcohol? He was helping me out and leaving me alone. I was trying to walk around the block, just getting all that back. I mean, the anxiety and everything that comes with becoming sober. It is hard. It is hard to go through, but man, it's worth it. And I said, because I know I'm not. And I know I said that. I feel like I've told you this before, but I said, because I know I'm not. And it was the first time that I said it and I knew that I meant it.
Yeah.
And everyone just has to find it in themselves. But we live in a world that makes it very easy to blow off our problems with alcohol, and you know social media, and you see a lot of different people. Like, there was a woman posting about how she sneaks alcohol into all of her kids' sporting events. And it's like, it's just, you know, 8 in the morning. She's like, oh yeah, if you put a tea bag in there to make it look like it's tea, and then it throws off everybody. And it's like, these are the things that when you're sober, you don't even, if you bring a Yeti mug in, you don't even think anyone's thinking it's alcohol. Like,
Yeah.
why would you need to disguise a Yeti mug that has your coffee or your tea in it? So
Yeah.
it's also just, man, it's freeing, because that's where, you said in the beginning, like, I don't judge these people. It stands out to you because you live on the other side,
Yeah.
and it's no longer controlling you. And you're like, man, think of all the energy you just put into figuring out how to disguise your alcohol to bring to your kid's 8 o'clock soccer game, and you could have just been like, there's so many other things your mind, you could have been doing in that time,
Well, and
so it's just so freeing when you get yourself away from it. It's just,
yeah.
you don't see it when you're in it. You don't see that you're doing all these little things. Just your whole life is based around how you can have that next drink.
Mm-hmm. And I think where I relate to you, congratulations on your 9 years in April. That's incredible. What I relate to is that I just last night was having a conversation with a dear friend, reading a natal chart, and I told her I've been 5 years sober, and the first several years, I knew what I was doing. I had the confidence that I wasn't going to drink anymore. That hasn't been the issue. But because I had spent so much of most of my life using alcohol to avoid who I really was, I like these 5 years of sobriety haven't been hard on the not drinking, but the recovery, and you use the word closure, shame, like the reconciliation I have to have with myself, that's the hard part. And I think, the being able to be just brutally honest about being the woman who would figure out how to put the tea bag in the Yeti. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been that woman,
Oh,
and
me
I
too.
would
Oh, yeah.
have, and and to be honest about that and to say it without shame, it doesn't have the same kind of electrical charge to me anymore of shame. You know, in previous over the last 5 years of coming out of my own, my own closet of just skeletons and stories, and that same connection with people where they're like, it wasn't that bad, you never did anything bad to me, you never offended me, are you sure that you could drink, come on. And it's like, that's not the point. The point is that my relationship with myself and my true voice and my true authentic spirit inside of me was drowning in that shit. And
Mm-hmm.
it's taken me 5 years. I feel like, I mean, it's been a bit of a midlife crisis, if I'm being totally honest, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, I just waste, and it wasn't that I wasted. I shouldn't say that, because what is resonating with me too is that you're saying it was worth it. I don't there's actions that I took, and there's things that I said, and there's situations I put myself in that were like, it gives me serious pause, and it takes me, it, I can, I get, there's a shame cloud that starts to swirl. And then I think, thank you, whatever strength I found to pull myself up out of that, and to be able to be here now with you on a chat cast on February 21st, looking back and saying, fuck yeah, I did that. And I'm standing here before you saying, I'm me, and I mean it more than I did a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Damn sure more than I knew myself, as a drunk person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just rambled off into the universe, but I I think that the initial days of sobriety are so overwhelming with the social anxiety of it, that to be able to finally find the place in recovery and staying sober where you can actually settle into getting to know yourself, and having, I don't think that we're I think that we're getting better at having conversations with ourselves, knowing how to communicate with ourselves, to listen to our emotions, to understand where we're at. If something is making us anxious, or if we're battling a depressive episode, that we have other means, we know ourselves enough that we develop other means of handling, and addressing things with ourselves, than to pick up a bottle, or to pick up a drug, or to overeat, or to gamble, or to go have sex with a complete stranger, whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
is, whatever the addiction is. That conversation with self is growing as in importance, right? And we're learning tools, and we're having parents model it to their kiddos, and the shame around it, the stigma around mental health, and all of that is lessening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we
Yeah.
talk a minute about how being sober in a drinking world just like, can we get something a little more in, you talk about mocktails. How about something more than the massive damn orange thermos container with little cheap plastic cups that we get in a bar when we go, right? Like being
Mm-hmm.
sober and wanting to go out and network and be in a world of drinkers, which I have no problem being.
Yeah. It definitely is though, and I do remember in the beginning, it was just terrifying to me that I remember a specific moment of going out and being and thinking, okay, how am I going? And it wasn't even I didn't want to drink. It's like, and some people have a hard time believing that, but it's like, no, I'm so done. And now I tell people the only time I think about drinking is when I think about how glad I am that I don't drink. And when you see it in your face. But when you go out, people, it was the beginning, like all nervous, and a lot more places are making mocktails, but I've been places where it's like a wine bar, in the film industry. And it's like, I'm like, so what do you guys have for mocktails? Um, well, we could, we have like club soda. And then I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take that with a lime. And then they give it to me in one of those big Pepsi plastic cups with a lime. And it's like, let's normalize not drinking. Like just because we don't want alcohol doesn't mean we don't want to have like a nice glass. Like I
Yeah.
don't like when I'm in my own home, I drink out of nice glasses, like
Right.
it's just like I'm not the like a little kid. But it does just show how, or if they give you, a lot of these places, they give you free drink tickets. And then I've tried to use it for just I'll do like a ginger beer or, ask them to make me up some, mocktail or whatever. And they're like, oh no, sorry, that only works for the beers. But the more and more I'm realizing, I went to a big movie premiere of a friend and the after party was at a winery. And I mean, everybody just it's just a bizarre thing to be there with everyone that's drinking and you feel kind of just very powerful. I'm in that stage now
Mm.
of my life that I think things are turning, and when people are realizing you're sober and you're the one not drinking wine and you haven't been drinking all night, it starts to make people a little bit uncomfortable. Um, just because maybe they're wondering, man, I wish I could do that. Or like, how are they doing that? Or why are they the person that their head is on straight? They're the one who's not drunk here. And I'm sounding funny talking to them. And, it's this whole other world. So
Right.
once you own that power, it's kind of just where I've taken it. I've taken it to a place where I'm just like, I feel like a powerful person and I feel loud and proud that I don't drink and I
Yeah.
will announce it. I just don't care. And I'll go to places and I will make them make me something. And sometimes you have these awesome bartenders that are like, I don't drink either. Let me make you up something
Right.
super special. And you're like, oh, hell yeah. But I think that things are slowly going to be changing. I feel like that a change has already happened. A lot of younger people are realizing that alcohol is not good for your body at all. I mean, it is not good for you at all. So you do all these things to be healthy. You watch what you're eating, you work out, you do all this, meditation, mindfulness, working on all of this stuff, and then you're just dumping poison into your body. I also don't want to come across as sounding, I'm not like I am not. I truly am not an anti-alcohol person. I just feel like I want to be a person here to fight for people that have not yet been able to see that it is not helping their life. So if that makes
I
sense, like
I
I
appreciate
just,
that.
I just, because I know people who can have two beers in a whole year and it's like, okay, but the majority of people, one person argued, but I met my wife and we both had cocktails and it did help us talk to each other. So actually, alcohol did help me. I feel like that's a rare story for the majority of people. You cannot get up. I can't get up and say, alcohol is helping me every day be a better person. And so if if that is the case, if it's not making you feel better. I've even recently to a friend, she was talking about posting all this, negative stuff on social media. And I honestly didn't even realize she was. And I had said something about, we are the good we put into the world. The energy you put into the world is the energy that comes back to you. You can do things in your own community. I know we all feel stressed about all these things going on, but you have to go out and actively do things. Just posting things online, no one, it's just going to make other people anxious and upset. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, I do that." And I said, "Well, I guess then let's go on it as on a personal, like, selfish level. Does it make you feel better?"
Mm-hmm.
She said,
Mm-hmm.
"No, not at all." I said, "Then why are you doing it?"
Right.
It's like, it's one of these things that someone else just recently said, "I went out to this bar, it was for this thing, and we were all together, and I just felt like I had to get a drink. Like I just had to do it because they had like root beer, I think, and that was the only other thing." And it's like, but why do you feel like if you go into a social situation, what did make you feel like you had to get a drink? It's actually not. I don't know that it's necessarily the place. Yes, they could offer more things to you, but be that person
Be that
that says,
person.
"You know what? I want you to make me up something else." And there's people here that don't want to drink alcohol. I don't want to put that in my body. Sometimes I'm even honest. No, I had a major drinking problem. I drank way too much.
Yep.
Like I definitely cannot put that in my body. But it's a weird, I think a lot of people are going to look back and maybe it won't be for 100 years. Maybe, we won't be here anymore. But I do think that there's going to come a time eventually in the human race that people will look back and say, "Holy fuck. Like, look at how humans were acting and just drinking alcohol. And look at this ad telling them to. And look at this new mom's sippy cup, mommy's sippy cup." I
Right.
mean, the world caters to women who are going through postpartum depression and feeling so down and out and like just need help from society. What do they give them? They give them a reason to drink alcohol, and that'll help all your problems. Mommy needs to drink.
Mm.
Mommy needs this. Mommy needs that. Um, but it is that type of stuff for me. And you could hear, I get a little bit fired up because I want to be a person that speaks up about it. People go, "Oh, sober people love talking about being sober." Yes, we do. And do you know why? Because we know what it feels like to almost die from a substance that the world is telling you is okay to be drinking. And we want other people to know that they can bring back their own power and also stand up for themselves, and you don't have to be stuck in that vicious cycle anymore. That's why we love talking about it. I don't know any sober person that loves just to talk about it for no reason. The
Right.
the reason most of us want to talk about it is because we want to honestly, like you said in the beginning, help one other person.
Yep.
And through my film Small Town Remedies, we talked about last time,
Yep.
one person I know quit drinking, and they did it for their themselves and for their family. And it's like, you do these things, you create art, and then you go into the world and you create more. But it was wild. Like Target, I was at Target. My kids were picking out Valentine's, and my son he was looking for a stuffed animal for a friend, and he picked it up and knocked over a bottle of wine. Okay, at Target. and and he starts crying, my 7-year-old, and he starts crying, and he's like, "Oh my gosh," and looking at me, and then the whole, it just reeks of wine, and he's like, "Now we have to buy it." And I'm like, "No, we don't." And my husband's kind of like, "Okay." And I'm like, "No, why the hell?" But let's think about this for real. Why the hell do you have a whole wall of stuffed animals, and then you have chocolates, and you have all the kids' Valentines that they give to the kids in elementary school. I mean, that kind of ends into middle school. And then you have a whole big row of wine. There was nothing dividing it. I mean, stuffed animals and wine sitting on the same rack from your head down to the floor of wine bottles. And this is just our norm. This is how a lot of people see this as being normal. When there is absolutely nothing normal about that at all, like, um, it's just, imagine if that was just heroin.
Right.
I mean, alcohol is in the, I believe it's in the top 5 leading causes of preventative death.
Mhm.
Um, but yet we show it at a store where families go, on
Next
a
to stuffed
shelf next
animals
to
and
stuffed
candy.
animals and
Yeah.
candy.
Yeah.
And that is how messed up society. And really, I'm like, the more people that can start seeing this in a different light,
Yeah.
um, they can pull themselves out of it. You know, they can pull yourself out and really just think about that for a minute, you know, and just how accessible it is everywhere you go. And I had someone say to me, a dear friend that I care about a lot. And they said it because it's just the way society, you know, they're not, it's almost like not thinking for themselves when they
Yeah.
said it to me. I don't, we were doing something and I go, well, yeah, you know, like they had a question about being sober. And I said, yeah, I don't know. It's just my way of life. Now I think about it when I have to, um, when people bring up addiction to me, which is a lot of people, because
Right.
every human is dealing with someone, or a husband's wife, or a husband's daughter, or a friend of a husband, you know, daughter, you know what I'm trying to say. But said, well, you know, you're still really fun to be around, even though you don't drink. And I just was like, you know what? I am more fun to be around because I don't drink. Like, I actually see myself, and I said, I'm not trying to sound like pompous right now, but you're putting me on this level of I'm still fun to be around because I don't put a substance in my body, when in reality, I said to him, I said, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like sound better than anyone, but I feel better than everyone that I witness just drinking all the time. I just do. And it's not that I'm being cocky or
Yeah.
anything like that. I just see the world differently. Just like I see the world differently now that I have done work on loving myself and my body. Just like I feel differently because I've done the work on becoming more spiritual and connected to our planet and whatever is out there, and just feeling free and just kind of walking through this life.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't need alcohol. I don't need it anymore because I have done also so much work on myself, and I've accepted that I'm just a fucking weirdo, you know? And it's okay to just be this weird. You don't have to be drinking to have ideas. And I mean, a woman I really look up to, I mean, it's in her book, but she goes, someone told me, write drunk, edit sober. And I'm like, how fucked up is that? Write drunk, edit sober. You know, I mean, so think of that just in life itself. So go
Mm.
around and do things drunk, but then it's kind
Then
of,
you have to edit.
then you have to come back and clean up your whole fucking mess and
Wow.
everything you've
That's a
done.
trip to think about.
But I'm like, that is not good advice at all. I mean, yeah, sure. There were some funny things that happened drunk. I'm not also a person to, my sister and I talk about that. I'm like, dude, there was some funny things that happened. There was some like pretty crazy nights, and there was this and there was that. But like just owning it and never having to say anymore, like, oh, well, I was drunk. Now I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I was being me, you know,
Being me.
just so but yeah, yes, I think the world is going to be slowly changing. I I hope more and more people can enjoy this beautiful side of life and not having alcohol controlling their every thought. And like you said, I would like, I didn't have children old enough, but if I was still drinking, yes. If I wouldn't have almost died because of alcohol, and I was a person who was just a what's the term, like if I was just still able to drink, uh, there's a term for it. I can't think of it right now.
Normie.
But just if it was something I was doing, yeah, sneaking alcohol in, I would be, you know, still just living that lifestyle of I mean, man, my kids are all wanting to get into the hockey world, which is awesome because I'm like, all right, let's do this. but it's also bizarre. Just people drinking beers at like 11 at the kid, like those stadiums. I mean, they have a full bar. They serve
Mhm.
up whatever you want, Long Island iced teas, and it's like, so while your kid's doing this, you can just be putting alcohol, and you hear people that are actually like, oh yeah, I love it. And people will even say it to me and they don't realize, I'm not a drinker, but it's like, it's just you witness how normalized it all
Mhm.
is. And I
Mhm.
think that is like, we have to be the voice for people that see the other side of it, and you'll
Yeah.
hear all the excuses, of every reason why, and it's fine. And yes, I know not every person out there has a problem with it. I get it. I 100%, I've witnessed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a wild world. I could really just go on and on talking about all of it.
I adore talking to you. I do want to, I want to give some airtime to what you've been working on lately. You're seriously close with your older sister, Jacqueline. She goes by Jackie, right?
Yes.
Um, and she's an amazing artist in her own right. Um,
Hmm.
I want to know more about what you two are scheming together, what it's like. Uh, she's, do I call her a painter? As I mean, is
Yes.
that's the
Hmm.
right term. So, sitting for her, you've been a muse for some of her paintings, and I want to know about what it's taken, the path it's taken to love your body, to work together around loving the female body, expressing some really powerful, statements of femininity, and yeah, just what is feeding your path and what you're working on, both with her and otherwise.
Yes. So, Jacqueline is a graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence, and she is a phenomenal painter and artist, and has always been her whole life, has been just an amazing artist. Uh, she has painted me for a long time, my whole life, and then just but more recently. And I know it would be good. I could bring her in right now to talk about this, because we're like, we need to record us talking about this stuff. She did a whole series within a series that she is calling self-portraits of my sister. And, she has autoimmune. I have autoimmune. She also struggled with alcohol addiction. She's been sober now for 10 years. And just had an amazing write-up review on Quiet Lunch, and one of her pieces, Salty Tomato Lips, that I modeled for, is going to be shown in New York City sometime over this next year. But more excitingly, she is having a solo show coming up on opening night is April 12th at Artworks here in Loveland, Colorado.
Awesome.
Her
Awesome.
her solo show. So the self-portraits of my sister, and from what she said, and she would probably have more to say, but it was in a time where she's done self-portraits of herself, and just couldn't bring herself to do portraits of herself. Ended up, in a way, as she explains it, it's me that she's like, I know you so well just by being my little sister, but painting my body, and kind of her own, like, um just energies and emotions and things were coming in through of her
Mm.
painting me, through painting herself through me.
Mhm.
So I think that's a beautiful just connection that siblings can have. And she and I are very lucky we are growing together. And so all changes she's making in her life, we seem to be, pushing each other in that direction and finding more and learning stuff. And we are very unique and different and on our own path, but we intertwine with each other quite a bit in different things that we're working on. So this show is called, I believe she has now decided to call it Animal Bodies. And I am going to be premiering a short film that I worked on, just shot last week, called Shame on Me. So Jacqueline now has gone and done self-portraits of herself. She's added in her stuff, is just the depth of it is amazing. But starting in 2020, I modeled for her. I have taken photos and I would send those on to her. And she started painting me. And in a few, so then, she's posting those on social media. And in one, and I crack up because she like posted I'm like, oh, wait, did you just like post my pubes on Instagram? I'm like, all right, okay. And then it was like this feeling of like, oh my gosh, all right. And then in one, she just slides over and it's like a picture of me. You can see topless, like a second one over of the painting she's working on. She's like, I didn't even realize I did that. Like, it just shows I just see you as this piece of work and this art, and the body is just, it's not, it wasn't like, oh, I'm posting a nudie, or something the
Mhm.
way the rest of the world maybe sees this. So I just was like, all right. And then the more of the paintings, and you're like, okay, and that scene, so seeing myself and her kind of doing that was where I was like, all right, this is kind of does make, this is here we go. And it made me just start realizing that it's important for me as an actor to let people see my body, to give me the chance to be okay with being here and letting people look at me and judge me. And it started my whole journey for self-love into that direction of just like, yep, here I am. And we don't have control over what others think of us. And if you try to control it, I mean, you see me differently than my husband sees me, my sister sees me, my friends see me. And unless I do some major facelift and nose job and all this stuff, like I don't have control over the way that I look and how people see me. So I started to let go of that. And I started to let go of the pressure I had put on myself as a young person. When I was 23, a guy said I'd missed my window of opportunity to be an actor. And I just always felt this world of being perfect and looking perfect and trying to be that movie star person, and not realizing that if I'm just myself and my flaws are what makes me me, and that is what is going to get me the parts. That is what is going to give me the courage and the inspiration and the just the creativity that I'm
Yeah.
needing to just fuel myself to like move forward and create things that I want to create. So I truly think Jacqueline, she pushed me into that. And so I'm in and those paintings, and then just the world of, I have a 10-year-old and then twin, almost 8-year-olds, boys, all boys. And I mean, my body was stretched out. My body grew human beings once, twice, two people at one time. And the change that your body goes through after that, and mentally, in a society that like that bounce back culture, or just that wanting to have the perfect perky breasts. And
Mm.
even with my work I do and that's where like doubling up on the work I do in commercial work of looking like this beautiful woman on a commercial that's talking about, furniture, and then having this deep desire to show my body to help women and men. I don't want to leave the men out, but help
Mhm.
women love themselves for who they truly are. And if I'm willing to do this, I have to do it. If I'm willing to show my body, and in my piece Shame on Me, I show my C-section scar. um I show my face close up without any makeup, and just being. We are allowed to fucking be here and be humans. So I the Shame on Me piece is everything people have said to me over my lifetime. It came to me in 20 minutes. Boom,
Wow.
I just started writing it down. I knew who said it. This was said to me. This was said to me. This was said to me a million times. Your nose is huge. Your teeth are huge. Do you really think you should eat that? Don't you think you should probably order a salad? What are you doing? Are you even going to eat that? What size of pants do you wear now? Oh, you had a C-section? Good thing for your husband. Your feet are huge. Your kids are going to ruin your body. Are you going to nurse? Is that real hair? Do you have hair extensions? Are you going to let your grays come in? Are you going to get Botox? Your teeth are huge. all these little things. You're getting so skinny. I don't even recognize you anymore. You talk so much. Why are you doing that? What does your husband think about that? You let your kids see you naked. These are just all the things that, who's watching, what does your husband think about this? Does your husband know you're doing this? How does your husband feel about this? And that is into my adult life recently. Even these things that I'm doing, these projects I'm working on, get the reaction of stuff I'm putting in there. And I'm not rebelling. I'm not like, I just feel so fucking free and open and creative. And these things are coming into my body and I'm feeling like I just want to express it and help. So that, that piece gets wild. I mean, at the end, and my friend and collaborator and longtime partner in film, Andy Carrasco,
Mhm.
he came and worked on this with me and shot this whole film. It was actually very important to me to have a male figure come in to work on this with me. I wanted his energy to be present in this
Mm.
moment of working on this piece together, and talk to him a lot about just women's bodies and also what he's gone through and the pressure he feels as a male. Like, even though the show is definitely female,
Mhm.
driven, this is stuff that society, we just need to think about this, the good, the bad. I mean, when I was in high school, I was voted most likely to survive a shipwreck. Yes, it's hilarious. I get it. My breasts were huge and I get that. I get it. I get this side. I know I've probably even said something to people that they think about now that's like, I didn't even realize it was affecting them in a certain way. But then, man, when I was done nursing my twins, my body changed. My breasts went down and I really grieved that change. I mean, I cried and cried and cried, and it's a wild thing. Our little bodies we're here on earth in, that we can just have such a reaction to change, and the feeling of being perfect and um having that perfect body and not having stretch marks and putting on this cocoa butter. And don't worry, your C-section, don't worry, the doctor, don't worry, I'll cut your we'll do the incision low enough that it will be covered by your bikini line. So already telling me as a woman, when I'm in active labor, going in for an emergency C-section, I have an adult, male figure telling me that my C-section, don't worry, you can
Mhm.
hide it. And
Mhm.
that didn't even hit me till later. And then don't get me going on my, like, I used to have a gap in my teeth when I was a little girl. And I say, oh my gosh, I was just told to fix it. No one let me choose. I was just told it was ugly and you need braces. And it's these little things in life that, I just, now it's like you get older and you think about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I had a gap? And then I'm like, maybe when I turn 50, I'm going to get my gap back,
Get my gap
motherfuckers.
back.
Like, there's going to be a whole documentary about me getting my gap back. Like, maybe, and then people look at me and they're like, yeah, that would have suited you very well. I'm like, yeah, with my body. But you know what? I can do all this now because I've had emergency C-section, because I had a planned C-section with my kids, because because I was majorly addicted to alcohol. The shadow side of this, man, I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I just kind of love that I have been through all of this
Yep.
so I can do this. It's just so awesome. Not everyone can say they were um on the ground trying to lick up vodka because they were so scared they were going to go into
Yep.
uh have a seizure, because they didn't have alcohol in their system. I mean, true story, but this is the stuff that, I have to talk about this stuff. My body is still here. I survived that shit, man. And then I got to go on to have children. And then I get to now go on to be free in my body and
Yep.
talk about it and let people see it and be a real person. And so this night, April 12th, which my film will be playing for that whole period. My sister's work, I think, is of April through March. No, March, no, April through May. It was originally March, but now it's April through May. Um, but I will be the first night, and maybe it will be a couple other nights, but I'm going to be there live on April 12th. it will be, I was like, oh, this will be a challenge because people will be coming. I'm not going to be talking with people. I'm going to be in my own world there, performing, and my film will be playing. All of Jackie's work is going to be up. And I am encouraging people to come in and to my face, tell me something that they repeatedly um set, it's negative self-talk that maybe it's something they deal with a lot. I can say one of mine is always, oh, why did you eat that chocolate? You said you didn't want to eat it, then and then you ate it anyway. And that was one that, just would be something constant. Like, what a waste of time that I'm constantly. So then it's just like, no, if I'm going to eat the chocolate, I'm just going to eat the chocolate. And then tomorrow, but it's all these little things that we do of like, well, you should walk the dog. Why'd you do this? You shouldn't have done your hair that way. Why didn't you do this? If you had done this, you would have been doing that. If 10 years ago, you would have just started a savings account, then now it would have had this much money. And all these the self monologue, that we have, that inner monologue that's going on. And this piece, Shame on Me, is really about, did all of this, did all these things in society that people so freely just say to us as human beings, how did that shape us into the person we were? I mean, you're never going to drink again. Why are you drinking? You're drinking too much. When are you getting married? Are you having kids? Why aren't you dating anybody? Why are you this? Why did you cut your hair? Why don't you cut your hair? All these little things that just are said to us. How does that shape us for who we are? And man, the sooner you can just like drop that inner monologue. And like I said, I'm still working on it, but the sooner you can drop that, the better. And I want people to come in. I'll be in there doing some things, but I really want people to come in to my face, say like, you need to, you need to go to the gym more. You need to go to the gym more. Can you imagine whatever your inner monologue is, Natalie, saying to my face live in person? I want people to feel that, to realize that your inner monologue is making you mentally not healthy. It is making you physically not healthy. I truly believe I have autoimmune in part from my inner monologue of life and stress, of the constant like just trying to make everything perfect and right. And it affects you physically and mentally. So I'm going on and on and on, but
I love it. I love
I
it.
get so passionate about this. It feels good to me. It's my work. It came from my film Tina Bobina when I was thinking of performance pieces for that. So I am a creator on that project. That my writer and director is Jess McGaw, that came to me last year and was like, hey, I have this idea for a film based on characters you've created.
Mm-hmm.
And so the she goal and these women, and it truly is about the life of a woman who's a performance artist and trying to just, juggle life as a creative person, being taken seriously and aging, and also having a family, a husband, and children. But I was thinking of performance pieces. And in that one, I came up with Iron Me, which I'm ironing out my stretch marks and my wrinkles and everything on my stomach in that piece to just show the extremes that we do go to be perfect for who?
For who?
For who? So within that, which we do, we are working on the feature. So Tina Bobina is actually right at this moment a short film, and the feature is written, the first draft, and we are working on the second. We are looking for investors or anyone who would want to become involved with the executive producer side or producer side of it, that we want to turn it into something something more. So that's very exciting right now. But
it is.
I met over maybe 2 years ago. Someone teamed me up with a casting director, and I can't remember how I talked about this last time or not, but um, they said you two should meet. He's in LA. You guys would hit it off. So we didn't for some reason, and I got on, and he just kept changing the time of our Zoom meeting, and I was like, okay, look, like I didn't ask to meet with you. Someone just said you two should meet. He could hook you up with someone here and blah, 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 blah. So I get on and he's just like short and quick and rude. And, what do you need from me?
Mm.
That's how he started it. What do you need from me? And, I was like, oh, I don't know. Like so-and-so just said we should meet. And I said we would really get along because of the way we see life and creativity. And then I was like, oh my gosh, just this LA casting director. Anyway, I said, it's in me. I just feel different. I always have. I just am always creating. My mind never stops. I just have all these ideas and I want to do this. And so I just, I'm trying to figure out where I can put this. And he said, well, you just need to find people and create with them. And I was so mad and like, yeah, oh, yeah, that sounds, that's so easy to say and that's so easy to do. And I was just like, so like, wow, I really got nothing out of this, is how I felt. Um, and then it was like a week after, I was like, I just have to find people and create with them. And I was like, I just have to find people and create with them. And since that has happened, I have found my people and I am creating with them. And the more people I find, they have their people. And it's the people that see your creative ideas and they see the funny side that they have and they see the creative side, but they also see how fucking serious you are about it. And they take the funny and the creativeness and they turn it into the serious project that you want it to be. And so I was like, holy shit, this guy, like, I was like, he helped me so much. I love him. But it was almost like, he was even in his own way, like, I can't give you anything.
Right.
You have to do this.
Right.
You have to do this. And like from that, it's, so everything else, it just keeps going. And my goal is not fame and Hollywood stardom. My goal is, yes, I need to be known because I want to be cast in bigger projects so that I can make money to make my projects that are bigger to help change the world and help heal people in my community. And then hopefully that will be the ripple effect of getting bigger than that. But anyway, I love that. And I just think it's so important for people. And I'm bringing it back in the that I am very lucky that my sister Jackie and I also have an amazing brother and a little sister. Um, but my sister and I are very lucky that we have this creative drive and truly believe that the only way we're going to quit is if we quit. And the only way we're not going to make it is if we quit.
Mhm.
But we can talk about anything and be as crazy and bizarre and out there as we want. And it just keeps getting we're just meant to be here, be beautiful. I've heard that we're just meant to be here and be beautiful and strange as human beings.
Love.
And I think if we all just focus on that and love ourselves, it truly will ripple out into helping others love themselves. And I know the cheesiness of love, but I told my boys the other day, I said, you have to find something in life that feels that you have to find something in life that is so hard that it just feels like you almost cannot ever do it. But by doing it, it makes you the happiest you've ever been. And where you want to quit and you don't want to do it, but you have to do it because it is something in your life that drives you and makes you want to live. And you can get that from humans. Yeah, I want to do that for my kids. Sure. I want to fucking be here and live and strive and do this for my kids. But if I'm not happy and I'm not doing something that is so hard and seems so impossible, but I have to do it because it helps me literally live and it helps me stay mentally healthy, then I have to achieve that. And by doing that, everyone else around you will feel that and they will be like, I want to do that. And when you mean it and you're being honest with yourself, there's just no way people can see it any differently. They can't see it any differently than what it is. And it will help them say, fuck, man, I'm going to go do that too. I'm
in my
going
own way.
to
Yep.
also try and do
Yep.
that because I'm seeing what is happening for this person in that. So,
And I think that's where your brilliance really is. I mean, honestly, my experience of you in the uh, I don't I honestly don't know you that well, right? Except that I feel remarkably connected to you because I've been able to witness over the course of some time together in this space just how authentic the gift of authenticity, the courage it takes to be authentic, the crazy, to bring it full circle, the craziness of that, of the mess, the absolute mess of life, to be able
mhm,
to stand up after it and make your life better with it because of it, based on it, have it as fuel, make it worth something, like.
mhm,
And you are, I really, I'm really grateful to just to be able to know you better and to witness that, just coming into that, you are an inspiration. And yeah, don't stop being crazy, batshit, loco. Do it,
yes.
sister. I fully
Thank
support
you
you.
so much.
I fully support you.
It is that when you think of the people you look up to, think of the people that you're just like, yes. It's never people putting themselves in a box. It's
Mm-mm.
people putting themselves out there
Out on top of the
and
box, shaking the box,
and
right?
trusting themselves and not caring because we all as humans, we all have these thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
we all have it in us. We all have this in us to, look for something more, do something more, overcome something. Um, yeah, I will be stuck in a situation again. Life is a roller coaster, right? It's like the ups and downs of life are bizarre, but I now have tools to handle and deal with things as they come at me. And then it's up to you what you want to do with it. And thoughts that enter our minds, again, that was some of the best. It's like the thoughts that come into our minds, only we can control what we do with those thoughts. And so you do have that choice. And we can't control what's happening to us. We can't control what's going on around us, but we can control what we do with ourselves.
Yep.
And the sooner you realize you have that and you realize what a huge magical power that actually is, the better, and sometimes the joke, I'm like, I float through life even when really bad things are happening. And don't get me wrong, I feel it and I cry and I go through all those emotions. Like I feel it all, but I also am choosing, and I literally for my health have to figure out a way to cruise through life, um, to not go into a full-blown flare or
Yeah. Yeah.
anything like that. But it is just it's hard, but it's a fun journey. And
Yeah.
I love, like, I just love, I do love to help people. And I've always felt this way even before I had an addiction. I always just have felt this extreme need to help people.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go big and grand. And then I realized that it comes and goes. And like, you and you're such an inspiration, and I love talking to you as well. And isn't it just great when you just chisel at it and
Chisel away. Yep.
you just help one person at a time, and then they go help another person, and soon it's a lot bigger than what you realize. And really that's where I realized that I am very lucky to have the motivation to get turned down, audition after audition after audition. I rejection, rejection, rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't care. I have to do this to live. I literally have to be creative to be on this planet. So, like this is just what I'm doing. And I'm lucky to be in a position where I do have the opportunity to help people through my art. Um, so, and it's fun and it feels good. And I encourage anyone to just, to go and whatever that thought is you have, turn it into reality. It feels so good. It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
feels so good when you do it.
I have some major cast notes to pull together. I want to make sure that people know um, about Jacqueline's art show and self portraits of my sister is what it's called, correct?
So the one series of Jacqueline and I is just self-portraits of my sister, but the whole show is called Animal Bodies.
Animal bodies.
And I think now she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 portraits. And then her one, Salty Tomato Lips, which kept getting us in big trouble on Instagram.
The Instagram police.
And touch on that really quick. The idea of in the world of what's sexy to people and what's a body and how has that all come together, that's all mixed into this generational, what women went through and their bodies. And that's why in my film, Shame on Me, I'm wearing a bra and underwear, suck-in underwear from 1970s, and just bringing in what my grandmothers, went through in their lives and how their bodies were seen and portrayed and what they went through and how that trickles down into generations to come. But yeah, so so Salty Tomato Lips, and that's a whole other topic of when we did the photo shoot for that, that she painted that for a competition in New York City that she got into. It'll be showing out there.
That's awesome.
But it's just funny, the one arm eating the tomato, it just is caught. I have on pants. It's just I have on, well, not pants, nylons. And then she is working on a piece right now that she and I are in together. We did a whole photo shoot in the living room. And just the concept of sisters and we're topless and together, and it just creates this uncomfortable feeling in some people. And then other people's were like, we're just of the same. I mean, Jacqueline and I were made by the same two people, and we're here on this planet in these bodies, and we used our breasts to nurse our babies, and we're here and we're lucky to be here in these bodies that have been through so much. And so it's a new piece she's working on. So we're just hoping, this is her solo show. I'm lucky enough that she was like, I told her the idea of her Shame on Me, and she was like, fuck, let's play this.
Yeah.
So we're going to play it. And then she wanted me to perform live. And we hope everyone just will come out and feel the energy. And we're so thankful to Artworks. Jenny Milner down there, she is an amazing artist, does mural work here, and is like a very huge supporter of us and seeing the need for bringing this in, which, in this area sometimes is still considered getting pretty wild.
Yeah, for sure.
But so that's April 12th, this opening night, and it will be up, I believe, through May 12th.
Okay.
But I could double check
that. But as importantly, Shame on Me, I am intrigued by, and I want to make sure that folks can find that and that they know. I know you've got thousands of followers on Insta, and I adore following your funky self. So I'm going to put all of that good stuff.
Awesome.
There. Yeah.
Yes. And Reed Gig, shot with a wonderful director. He wasn't in Colorado, he's in San Francisco, but another one that is a short film that just had the most brilliant time working on with Jeff Marslet, who just had a film that he did, Quantum Cowboys, with Lily Gladstone. So Lily Gladstone is in one of his films, but the connections here in Colorado and working on Colorado film, it's just great. We're big and small, and so that's another one to keep your eyes out for. Tina Bobina and Reed Gig are both like entering the film festival circuit. We might have we're having a private screening this weekend of Reed Gig, but all three of my boys were actually in that film.
Awesome.
Flashback scenes. But yes, Tina Bobina just waiting on festivals. And then, if anyone's out there wants to get involved with Tina Bobina, or I should also mention, I can't believe I haven't yet, I'm writing a series with writer Brooke Hamilton Benjador. She is a novelist, and she and I have been working on a series for about the last year called Sense of Direction. And maybe when you have me back, we can talk more about that, because that a lot of this is in there, but it's a whole other story, and it's hilarious, and it's about human connection. I'm going to play the part of the therapist and her client, who is a gentleman, and their way of, by being human, connects them in a way that by not being a professional therapist, she's actually a shitty therapist, but through that, they have a deeper connection. And by being human, they find each other and help each other in that way. And he keeps coming back, and and it's just the funny story of these two through their therapy sessions that they have by being human, and how our human instincts and our human behavior, how it's always shut down. Don't show it. Don't everything, that humans do. Farting.
Yep.
Getting that booger out of your nose. Yep. Yeah, I'm going there. But it's like all these little things in human behavior. How has over time us acting not human, how has that created us to then turn into these people that are trying to be so perfect and do this? So it's showing how just by being human, which you and I are doing right now, by being human, we can help people, we can help ourselves, and we're growing. I'm growing every day, and I love hearing people's stories, and I love people reaching out and helping me in ways I haven't been helped yet. And so that's a whole other thing too. So
good. Well, I'm honored and I adore you. And I just thank you for thinking out loud with me today, this morning. Gorgeous fall spring day that it is. Yes. Right? As we were talking about before we hit record. And then I realized as we were visiting that you were my 8th episode of my first season, and you're my 8th episode of my 3rd season. Ooh. And I'll just keep on trending towards having you back. And it fills my soul to share space with you. So thank you. And thank you to my listeners. It's a small but mighty crew, and it's growing. Again, I don't do this for fame and fortune, like you. It's a passion, and to connect with people, and it's medicine for my own soul. So I hope folks will continue to tune in. Keep an eye out for when, and until then, take care of you. Big hugs and big love. Please be kind to one another. Bye-bye, friends.